There we go.
So I'm looking forward to this. I don't really, other than knowing what a Bowie knife looks like and how it can cut or thrust, but this whole thing with that back cut, that's why I really, for tomorrow, want to really get in this infamous back cutting.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Back cuts. You have the back cut in the Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
It's just not called that. It's essentially a redondo strike. But
Okay.
where it comes from in Bowie knife actually comes directly from saber fencing. And saber has a curved blade.
Okay.
So when somebody would do an essentially an inside deflection to this angle, you could roll the saber blade over and go around their block and then
Ah.
cut them in the shoulder on that line.
Okay.
And from that's actually something that like I really want to address specifically about Bowie knife use. Bowie knife use is kind of really a misnomer.
Okay.
It's what it's grown into. It's what most people refer to it as. But the reality of it is it's really just large knife use because there until Bowie became the how should we put it, the celebrity and people wanted Bowie knives,
Mm.
it was just the large knives of the time period that people carried. There's really nothing original about a Bowie knife. I can, in fact, I have right here. This is I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a 14th century Messer. This is a German. It literally means knife.
Okay.
But this is a German medieval civilian arm, and what it is a giant Bowie knife. Look at that clip point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a reproduction, obviously, but this was done in the 14th century.
Okay.
So, there's really nothing unique about the Bowie knife other than the legends that arose around it. Other than the legends that the place it has in American culture and the symbolic status of it. But the other thing is just about everything that is out there. Anybody that teaches Bowie knife, it is in 99% of all cases a recreation, not a direct lineage. Like, we can say that, Tata and Illustrissimo taught this guy, and then he taught this guy, and then he taught this guy. No, it's nothing like that at all. I've brought some books in here to share with people that if they really want to understand how the Bowie knife was used in the United States, well, the Americas, because it's not really just the United States. It was
Right.
the states, the territories, on down into, Mexico, South America. So it's really the knife of the Americas.
It seems there's like an iconic aspect to it. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the first books I recommend people get that are interested in Bowie knife has absolutely nothing to do with Bowie knife whatsoever, and that's Cold Steel by Alfred Hutton.
Okay.
This is a military saber manual. This is where so much of the use of the Bowie knife in the United States comes from is military saber use. The next thing is John Steyer's Cold Steel. I'm
Okay.
sure people have heard of the Stiers methodology. Stiers learned his stuff from both his family and from Biddle. And supposedly, legend has it, that Biddle's information came from family members and his study with older people that used large knives.
Okay.
And he took that into his bayonet fencing, and Stiers worked with that and some other stuff. And Stiers is probably the closest thing we have to a genuine American lineage of
Okay.
large knife use. The next book that, if like you're a student of the Bowie knife, it's an absolute must for you to have.
And what is this?
This book right here. This
And
is
that is
Bowie knife
okay.
fighters fights. I bought this book accidentally. Well, not accidentally, but I bought it on a lark. On my computer back here, I have a ton of JPEGs and stuff from various forums that I've collected over the years of newspaper articles actually describing Bowie knife fights, stances, guards, that sort of thing. Every single thing I found is in this book.
Really?
His research was impeccable. And if you take these three and combine them,
okay,
and get an understanding of the mentality of the time period and the style of movement that the people that would be using a large knife would naturally be attracted to. You combine that with the practicality of Stiers and then the actual historical accounts, you get a pretty darn good picture of what it most likely was, or at least close enough that you can be satisfied.
Yeah.
If you don't want to wade through all of this and go through all of that process, the other choices you have are, as always, and I'll recommend this to everybody, go study with Jim Keating. He is amazing, and his knowledge is paramount. But for things you can read and get at home and get you started is Macklemore's Bowie and Big Knife Systems.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, all of these books you can get on Amazon. So it's,
good for tomorrow night. We'll definitely bring those up. I'm just writing some notes down.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll have
to
go into the books a little bit more in detail as well.
Yeah. And then, folks, for tomorrow night, Bryan also will be demoing some material.
Yeah. And we'll actually spend a little bit of time on that back cut, and we'll look at why it is so important with a knife of that size.
Okay. Back cut, sources, James Keating. So not to give too much away for tomorrow. So then you worked with James Keating, correct?
Yeah, I've taken a course with him. I have studied all of his DVD material on it. I speak to him on a regular basis about it. And I say this all the time. Keating, while he might not have had the most, I might not have had the most hands-on time with him.
Gotcha.
He is my most influential instructor because he has opened my eyes to so many things and really set me down that path of seeking out the universal in all edged weapons.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a fantastic guy. You can pick up the phone and call him anytime. And I frequently do when I have questions. I'll just, hey, Uncle Jim, and he's happy to talk about it.
It's gonna be interesting too, and also for the folks tomorrow. Yeah, I talked to him a few times. Oh, I mean, very friendly. I've been trying to get him on, but the internet where he lives is just a disaster.
Well, you got to understand, everybody thinks about, James Keating, the martial artist. Everybody thinks about that, but the other half of that story is James Keating, the rancher, and he runs and owns a ranch. I'm not exactly sure what he raises on it or anything like that, but I know how much time that takes. So
yeah. And then the other thing too for the folks that are watching tomorrow, like it's kind of like an American historical staple. You know what I mean? The Bowie knife, Western.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see, it's just you just make this natural association with the Wild West and
exactly. And New Orleans gamblers, riverboats,
outlaws, in-laws. I mean, just
duels in the courtyard, at midnight, that kind of stuff. Fights in Congress. They're one of, in fact, it's even in that book, and I'm horrible with names, but the upshot is in the middle of some Congress session, two guys started going at it, and they ended up pulling their Bowie knives and fighting across the floor and down the steps and out into the street. And, they were both horribly butchered, and, it's crazy
now
stuff.
We just got shouting matches back and forth in Congress.
Maybe we should bring back Bowie dueling.
God, oh buddy, that's funny. But so what time did we agree tomorrow? Was it
8:30?
8:30. That works perfect. Yeah, so folks, if you're watching this, this will be tomorrow night at 8:30. The Bowie knife with yours truly, Bryan Cannata. So if you have questions for him, he's sounds like an in-depth study of this and continues to do so. So I'm looking forward to this, the big knife. So generally speaking, around a foot long there?
Well, no. Here's the thing. And actually, why don't we kind of go into a little bit of show and tell?
Sure.
Let's look at a very commercially made Bowie knife right here. This is a cold steel Laredo.
That's definitely longer than 12 inches.
Yeah, this one is. Okay. This is a Bowie knife, but really when you look at it, it's just a big 18th, 19th century camp knife. This is, this could have been carried by Jim Bowie. It could have been carried by somebody 100 years before him. It is a very usable shape. If I cut the guard off of it, it looks just like 14th century German peasant knives. Okay. But when you look at things like this right here is a cold steel Recon Scout.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got like an 8 or 9 inch blade.
That's a little shorter.
Yeah, but this is actually more commonly what people would have carried than the big knife.
Yeah.
The really big knives tend to be more of a southern thing. And deep south, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, on into Texas. And then you kind of start really changing shapes and styles once you get past Texas, because then you move into like the gaucho knives, which really just look like big kitchen knives. They look like a chef's knife. There's function and form. Then you get some stuff like this Spanish style dueling Bowie.
Wow.
This is very, very light. Big long point. Uh, really, really designed more for the thrust than the slash. And that's one of the things you'll find when you look at Bowie knife use in the United States is that it is way more point centric than you would typically think.
Okay.
One of the ways you can really differentiate between somebody that's doing American Bowie work versus, let's say, Filipino bolo work, and that's another great thing about the Bowie knife is it's one of those weapons that just goes hand in hand with FMA because it's just the right size. But one of the ways you can tell the difference is that a person that comes from a more, let's call it Filipino influence school, is going to be very slash and the more traditional angular movement.
Correct.
Whereas somebody that is from a more American influence school is actually going to move much more like a fencer does. The footwork is very linear, or it is very heavily Spanish circled influenced. And the point is really what you're trying to get your opponent with. And unless you can get in close enough, and that's where we get into the differences of here we go. Here's a nice Ontario Bagwell Hell's Bell. Actually, this one is a Fortress,
Okay.
so it's a little shorter than the Hell's Bell. But one of the big things that is frequently talked about is the Bowie knife being fought with the blade end. And there's a number of really good reasons for this. Number one, it allows you to block large, heavy weapons like cavalry sabers with the thick back of the blade,
okay,
preserving your edge, and you can still go to point, you can still back cut, you can still snap cut by sniping that point into your opponent. So it makes a lot of sense. And there's a video I have on YouTube where I go into using it in this grip. The way I was taught this grip was called Mountain Man grip. And it's kind of funny. The guy I learned it from was a Mennonite preacher up in Pennsylvania. And
of all people.
yeah, but yeah, it was just one of those things. And he was really big into Americana, the mountain men, the frontier skills, all of that stuff, out there in Pennsylvania, Canadian border, and all of that. Now, what he told me, whether it's true or not, who knows? Just like any other martial art.
Yeah, exactly right.
He said the reason for the reverse grip was so that they would grab people in close, stab, and then pull out. So you would be using all your big muscles to cut
to rip that out. Got it.
Yeah. So the blade in the reverse grip would facilitate that. And again, using the thick edge to parry. So
to preserve the edge. Okay.
Right. But you'll see and read of accounts where it's held in a much more normal, forward grip with a edge forward.
Wow. This is gonna be fun tomorrow, man.
No, I hope so.
Oh no, it will be. I think so. This is why I do these test runs, just so I can kind of generate an outline and all that. So one of the things I'm going to do is, we'll identify it, because obviously, we will, as far as what, your opinion on, what is a Bowie knife, and maybe from back then to what we're seeing today. Why so iconic, why named after Jim Bowie, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then we'll go into, of course, we can reference your books for sources and James Keating. Then we can start going into the whole methodology, the back cut, and everything else like that. So this way, when people watch this, they'll definitely get, be further educated if they had any questions or what have you, as far as what it is and that. But that's interesting what you brought up, and I can kind of see that where when you were mentioning the as far as the footwork being utilized and the strikes compare and contrast to FMA. And I would have to say, and I think you mentioned it, it's probably the Spanish influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very much so. And actually one of the books, and we'll go into this tomorrow, unless you like really spend a lot of time reading weird, strange esoterica about Destreza, because man, they went nuts. With the way they wrote manuals and everything. McLemore actually breaks down the Spanish Circle in the easiest way to understand, and it is, you would actually like it a lot too, because it's, well, one of the big things in the Spanish Circle is the first step, and the first step, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's very similar to in Illustrissimo, where you're using that floating step to step forward, hit the hand, and step out of range.
There we go. The floating step, the luton.
Yes.
Yeah. The circle that I looked at it before, and that whole, and there's nobody telling me there goes without saying the Spanish influence in KI. I mean, it's just, I think it's, I don't think you can deny it. But yeah, and again, I don't want to, give too much away for tomorrow, but with regards to the circle and all that, in other words, triangles in it.
Yeah, but the easiest thing to understand about the circle, and I've got some stuff set up in here already. So let me see if we can you see that knife there, or actually let me move this.
Okay.
All right.
You got all kinds of gadgets in there.
Oh, it's my office. Everything ends up in here. All right. So let me adjust this angle just a little bit. So it's kind of hard to see my footwork because I'm off camera. But the thing that's important at this range that would really take from the Spanish Circle is that when I step, this distance changes. So here I am out of range of this guy's hand. But if I take a step along the circle,
yes,
that's almost a third of my blade past his hand.
Correct.
So as they're coming in with force, you're stepping and going the point.
That is so similar. There's but basically in KI, when they're coming, you step off to your left and you just lay down on number 12. You just drop. Yeah. Wow. The parallel, which I think it's safe to say, probably the Spanish influence in both accounts.
Well, I won't even go so far to say, 100% say that it is Spanish influence, because when we go back to the whole, like Bruce Lee said, you've got so many arms and so many legs. The same thing applies with weapons. So you can only use edged weapons in so many effective ways.
Yeah. Without creating a liability for yourself.
Right. Exactly. This
is going to be fascinating. Wow. I didn't want to get too much, but I when you brought up that circle, because I've looked at it and I viewed it and all the diagrams in it, it's fascinating. You know what I mean? It's a case study in itself. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you're stepping off the line.
Yeah, off the 45. No, not in. Nicholas, yeah, you can do that. If it's an incoming attack, I could backstep off the middle triangle and cut. But I think, Brian, if he'll correct me if I'm wrong, you're more circling around. Hence why you're
Yeah.
leaving a third of his blade on the hand. Am I accurate there?
Yes. Yes. And let's see if we can do a little experiment here.
We open up a can of worms.
Well, I mean, really, the let's see if we can get my feet on camera.
That'll show it all. You know what you do? Oh my God. Can you see? Uh-oh. Brian, we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I know. It's inevitable. Let's see if we can. I'm also learning how to use this new tripod. There we go. That should allow me to tilt.
Oh yeah, I can see the floor. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go here. Okay, so you can see my feet, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So in SMA, if we were taking a 45-degree step, we'd move this way. All right. That covers a lot more distance than what I'm moving when I walk the circle. When I walk the circle, I'm going along this arc to here.
Correct.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah. Circle.
Which keeps you, much to your point, by not switching leads and dragging over, following the circular line. That's why you're landing pretty deep on his hand.
Yes.
You know? Whereas when you do the KI, where the attack is coming, and I'm doing maybe a position adjustment, it would be more, there. Maybe I'm dropping on a hand there. You know what I mean? But in your case, you're there, which I can absolutely see getting in deeper.
Oh yeah. And when you
the whole geometric, it's just so fascinating. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, studying rapier is an amazing thing when it comes to learning about line and distance and just making there's just so much to learn in it, and it can be a lifetime study in and of itself.
Yeah, I guess, and plus then when you look at the lifetime study, and then when you throw in the refinement aspect to it, now it's like it's infinity.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's one of the things I appreciate about, in KI. Actually, it just doesn't apply to KI. Actually, it can apply to anything. I mean, but that whole thing of like, okay, I want to really just minimize just what I just need to do to get off that strike where I have opportunity. And then, of course, everything else, speed, accuracy, but it's infinite, as far as that attribute development aspect, that's what just keeps me going, because you can always improve, or grow,
Oh, absolutely. I was doing some HEMA fighting last night, and I decided to do something really ridiculous. I fought with a sword that was only 26 inches long in total length and a very small buckler. It was
against
against people wielding full size shields, full length swords, that kind of thing. And I got hit way more than I wanted to, but it was a fascinating experience because it really forced me to work inside angles. And if you have a big shield, you can be lazy.
Yeah, you be kind of, because you got this whole thing to hide behind. You can actually
exactly. But when you're using something that is only that big around as your defense, and it changes things dramatically.
Yeah, if you're like, yeah, if somebody's got, well, like if you're looking at German longsword, for instance, which I play around with, I mean, you're probably giving up like a foot. I mean, their power, right?
Oh, easily, easily.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Um, yeah, that's fascinating though. But I think that's what makes it so much fun. It's like, where you take these different weapon sizes or configurations or whatever, and you go against something different. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and didn't you get to really get beyond the technique and truly get to the principle?
That's a good way. That's a good way of putting it, actually. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can do X move against Y move, and it can be rote memory, it can be stimulus response, but do you truly understand why it's doing what it's doing? And the way you do that is you take that technique, that idea, and you apply it to a different weapon. You apply it to a different length weapon. Against all sorts of strange weapons. Whatever you can find that somebody is willing to safely beat you up with.
Yeah, or at least entertain, engage you, and you know what I mean. Yeah. Wow, this is gonna be fun. So, folks, if you're watching this is gonna be for tomorrow night at 8:30. If you have questions for Guru Bryan in regards to this, please send them to me. You can send them to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be really unique in that we're going to be looking at the Bowie knife, but we're also going to be looking at, as far as the influence and again, the different movement as far as, I guess the easiest thing to compare and contrast to is FMA,
Yeah. And these are, it's also easy for me to make that comparison because these are my two parallel loves.
But it just
intersected.
It is, but like in other words, it's like and it's not like I like to do it. It's just it's almost like a natural default system to compare to. It's like with Piper, FMA with this what we compare to because what else? I mean, what else are you going to compare to? It's just that kind of that default system that you compare to, So, yeah. But this would be awesome. I'm here. Here for the Bowie's, Dean's bacon and ham sandwiches. I don't know if there's gonna be any sandwiches tomorrow night, Glenn, but definitely there'll be there will be Bowie knife. That guy's funny, man, Glenn.
In fact, I just got a new one a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. From my guy Jim Bensinger. This one is one of his Ruination Bowies. Okay. This is a other than the Kydex sheath. This is real close to a 19th century Bowie, and one of the things to really kind of look at is this curve, the way
that whole belly there.
Yeah, but not only the belly, but the way it sweeps into a point. And when you hold it the way you hold a Bowie as an American, it just comes right to point.
Almost like you're getting dragged, like you're at the end of a chain.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the things I do when I teach people how to lunge. Is the very first thing I do is I get them on guard and I grab the point of their trainer and I just have them relax and I pull.
So you're really forcing that going first. Now the delivery system. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, huh? Wow. Well, I can't wait. I don't want to get too much away, but this is going to be fascinating. I had a feeling we were going to go down a few rabbit holes for the test run, but the comments they're pouring in just on this test run. So, but yeah, folks, tomorrow night 8:30. Again, if you got questions, let one of us know. And so, all right, Bryan, I'm looking forward to this, and thank you for coming on. I know I didn't give you a ton of notice, but So I don't know.
This is one of those things I can talk about forever at any given time. So
No, I'm looking forward to it because obviously you're a wealth of knowledge in this, and I'm not. So, but awesome. So tomorrow night, 8:30. I will see you then.
all right, sir.
You take care.
Hopefully, I'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
All of you in the comments.
Tomorrow night.
Night.
All right, folks. Here it is. Here's the flyer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So yeah, by all, if you got questions, take advantage of this. You know, please, you can send them to me or send them to Bryan. But it'll be at 8:30. It'll be here, and I'll probably share it to the FMA discussion group as well. So, all right. But until then, I will see you tomorrow.